What's up, guys? Welcome to Neek, which stands for Nerd Size Geek. And yeah, we got Wonder Woman 1984 coming on Christmas Day on both HBO Max and theaters. I saw it in theaters. I was looking forward to this movie, especially because all these other movies are getting delayed. I was just happy we actually are getting at least one of these big superhero movies, because there hasn't actually been like a big sort of superhero movie. Actually big superhero movie really since Spider-Man Far From Home, and that was a year and a half ago. I was really excited to just go to the theater and watch a big superhero movie, because that's something I haven't done in a while. So, did I like it? Let's find out. First thing, I want to kind of talk about my thoughts on the DCEU in general, because I haven't really talked about that anywhere. Plus, I don't think I'm going to do a ranking, at least anytime soon, because I actually haven't seen all of them. There are two I haven't seen. I haven't seen Suicide Squad or Birds of Prey yet, but I have seen the other 7. So basically, my thoughts on all of them are, before Wonder Woman 1984, my thoughts were, I like the DCEU. I generally like all their movies. The only one I think is bad, the only one I thought was bad is Justice League. But none of them are amazing. None of them are among my favorite superhero movies. But they all have different aspects I like. And like each of them I just fully can't put on that top tier superhero movie. And then some of them are more in that okay tier. But I generally enjoyed all of them. So how my ranking would kind of go, like at the top would be Shazam. That's just my favorite overall. I love superhero movies like that. I love like the teenager becomes the superhero thing, as I'm a teenager and I would love to become a superhero. I find those things really, really enjoyable stories. I thought Zachary Levi killed it as Shazam. I liked all the other acting in it too. It was super hilarious and got that like heartfelt moments. There were like 2 scenes that were bad, the opening and that one scene in the building that kind of felt out of place, but besides that, I really enjoyed everything besides this movie. And then Wonder Woman would be at number 2. I really like Wonder Woman in the first 2 acts, and then it just kind of falls apart in the 3rd act. That definitely would be my number 1 if the 3rd act was better, and would be the one that would be in my top tier superhero movies, but they just don't nail that 3rd act. So coming at number 3 is Man of Steel. A lot of people absolutely love this movie. A lot of people hate this movie. I've never had that strong opinions on it. I've enjoyed it both times I've seen it, and yeah, I think it's good, but I just don't think it's that next level, because I just feel too emotionally distant from the lead characters, and I can't connect fully emotionally, even though I do like lots of the stuff they're doing. I think it has some great visuals, and like I do like the story, and I think Henry Cavill was a good fit for Superman. So there's a lot I like there, but I just can't really connect with it. And then at 4th place is Aquaman. This one is like, I put it right in the middle, because it's not that good, but it's not like really. It was pretty. Lots of them have like high highs and low lows. This one's just pretty consistent. A pretty good movie, not the best. It's like a meh movie. Like some of the dialogue is very cheesy, and lots of the different emotional moments don't really work. And there are some problems with the movie, but I don't think it really does anything too terrible. And it's just an extremely entertaining movie with some of the best action like I've ever seen. Some of the action scenes in this movie are incredible. I love how they're all handled. It's just this an entertaining movie with cool action that doesn't really do anything that good. And then number 5, BVS, which is not like Aquaman, because I think it has some really ambitious high highs and some very low lows. I haven't seen the Ultimate Edition. I plan on doing that before the Snyder Cut, but thoughts on just BVS is I really appreciate and like parts of it, and just I think it's too overambitious that it's very messy. Like, you don't feel like all the pieces come together, because there's just so much going on, even though I like a bunch of different aspects that are going on. And then I just hate Lex Luthor in this. I I really don't like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. And then under that would be at the very bottom is Justice League, the only one that I was thought is bad. But then Wonder Woman 1984 sadly just goes above Justice League. And I can no longer say there's just one bad DCU movie I've seen, because I have to pit Wonder Woman 1984 there. And sadly I can't fit it. And I can't even really say it's okay. I really want to like it. I just don't really like it that much. It's definitely not as bad as Justice League, but it's not good. So yeah, basically I'm going to do my spoiler-free thoughts and then go into my spoiler thoughts. So let's get started with the spoiler-free thoughts. So yeah, when I first saw this movie, I thought it was okay. You can check out my Letterboxd review. I'm like, it's okay. And then I thought about it more and like, okay, it's like in the middle. It's not good or bad. And now I just think it's bad. Not terrible, like I said, but bad. Different parts of the movie I liked more than others. I enjoyed myself while watching it. At the beginning, I liked a bunch of different things there. But as the movie gets on, it gets worse and worse. It just drags. There's no reason for the film to be this long. I wasn't really enjoying watching this movie later. The first act, I enjoyed myself while watching it. The second act, I enjoyed myself some of the times, wasn't really enjoying myself other times. And the third act, I just didn't really enjoy. Kind of like the first Wonder Woman, the third act was not good. But there were some good elements in here, like the performances were really good. I really like Kristen Wiig. I really like Pedro Pascal, and I really like Chris Pine. He once again gives a great performance as Steve Trevor. And this is actually probably Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot has improved as an actress. I think it's a better performance than hers in the first Wonder Woman and anything I've seen her before. So that's really good, and I now have hope for her as an actress. So that's pretty cool. And then I also did like Diana in this movie. I like the character of Wonder Woman, and I think this gives her a good enough arc. Not the best arc, but it works well enough. But it's definitely a lot more Diana than Wonder Woman. We really don't see much Wonder Woman. Like, in the entire first half, there's like one scene of Wonder Woman. And the second half, we do see more of Wonder Woman, but it's still like more Diana. And then obviously, when we see Wonder Woman is when the action scenes happen. And so there's only one action scene in the first half of the film. And talking about the action, I wasn't really a fan of most of it. I loved all the action scenes in the first Wonder Woman. Well, besides the end battle, I thought they were handled really well. That beach scene, I loved. The no man's land into that village fight, I thought was amazing. And then in this movie, there was only one good fight scene. They're in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling. But the only good fight scene was the White House fight scene. But that's not even as good as the ones in the first movie that I mentioned. And then the rest of the fight scenes just weren't good. I mean, I saw this in the theater, and normally when I like action scenes in the theater, even if I go back and watch them at home, I'm like, oh, they're not as good. But yeah, I just didn't really like the other three action scenes in this movie. So there were three other ones. The mall fight that you see, that wasn't much of a fight. It was just like a campy scene of Wonder Woman taking out these guys. And you have this car chase scene, which not much actually really happens. It seems like a really dragged out scene of where not much actual cool action actually takes place. Like, most of the coolest action shots are actually in the trailer of that chase scene. So that was very disappointing. And then you have the fight against Cheetah, and it was not good. It didn't really feel like it just felt sort of thrown in there with this where the story was, and then also it was super dark to obviously try to hide the cheetah CGI, and just wasn't that interesting of a fight. So I was really disappointed by the action in this movie. So yeah, now let's talk about the tone of this movie, and it's a little bit all over the place. Like I said, the mall scene was very campy. It was like very cartoonish, like you have stuff like this. But the rest of the movie wasn't really like that. It had more like a more neutral tone, what you'd sort of expect from a superhero movie, like not like super serious, not like super like anything. But so that scene just felt out of place. And yeah, I don't know. It's like they wanted to give the more 80s feel, because that definitely felt more 80s, but they didn't fully go for it. They're like, let's introduce some 80s at the beginning, and then let's kind of stop. Yeah, I don't know. And then also, the CGI was very bad at some points. Like, it was bad. Like, I'm like, oh, wow. It's almost like they were trying to make the CGI from the 80s. Like, that's not what you should do for if you want to make the 80s feel. Make the CGI good. Do other things like the 80s. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. And then the music. You have Hans Zimmer doing the score. I love Hans Zimmer's scores, and I love the score in the first one. And it wasn't as memorable as the first, but I mean, I'll probably listen to it more. It was still really good. Obviously, it's Hans Zimmer. I'm kind of disappointed they barely used the Wonder Woman's theme from the like DCU Wonder Woman theme. And like when they did use it, I didn't really like how they used it. And then also, so sad, they didn't use Blue Monday, the song from the trailer. This song. Yeah, you know that fire song? They didn't use it. That's really amazing. That's why I was so excited for this movie, because that Blue Monday is amazing. Yeah, I'm obsessed with that. But anyway, this film also doesn't make much sense. Like, lots of things, like, logically don't make any sense at all. I'll get more into that in the spoiler section. And it's a very ambitious film in trying to say and do a lot. So when you get to the final, like, section of the movie, and all the ambition is on full swing, and so are all the logic gaps, and like they just come together, and it makes it so the ambition just doesn't land. So yeah, this film has some good elements, but it doesn't, it just fails at reaching its ambitions, and just doesn't make a satisfying movie, and just doesn't make a super fun movie. Especially, I was expecting this to at least be a lot of fun. There were parts that were really fun, especially at the beginning, but you really lose that fun, so you need it to just be really good, but it didn't land at the end. Okay, so now it's time to dive into some spoilers. So, yeah, I want to talk about this end credit scene. It was a fun little surprise until the wink at the camera. Like, why'd you have to do that? Linda Carter showed up at the fandom, at DC Fandom, and at the virtual premiere, so I should have guessed that she was going to be in it, but I didn't put two and two together. But is she going to show up in Wonder Woman 3? Maybe. Are we actually even going to get a Wonder Woman 3 at this point? I have no idea, because with the HBO Max move, Patty Jenkins was kind of mad, and then Warner Brothers moved all their stuff, and then Gal Gadot was like, oh yeah, I'm only doing it if Patty Jenkins is directing. So we might not even get a Wonder Woman 3. I kind of hope we do, because I really want the chance to sort of redeem this franchise after this movie. But, yeah, I don't know if we're going to get it at this point. Now I want to talk about the opening scene, because this is my favorite scene of the movie. This is the one scene where the cinematography stuck out to me. I really liked the cinematography in the first one, and this one, I thought it was like good overall. I wouldn't say it's bad, but this is the only scene where it really stuck out to me. Like, oh yeah, that is good. And it's just like a cool scene, but it's not very important to the movie at all. Like, they kind of tie it in. Like, they try their best to tie it in, but you could take it out and it really wouldn't change anything. It very much seemed like Robin Wright and Connie Nelson had contracts in the movie, so let's just throw in Wonder Woman's mom and aunt. I'm not going to try to pronounce their names. Yeah, now I'm going to talk about the Wishing Stone, which caused a lot of the logic problems here, because this doesn't really make much sense at all. Like, I have a lot of questions. Like, why did Steve show up in someone else's body? That's kind of like a weird thing they chose to do, and they didn't need it to happen, because later in the movie, when they're doing all the stuff, they showed the Wishing Stone can like create things out of thin air. It's creating missiles. It's just making them appear. Why couldn't Steve just show up that way? Why do you have to show up why would he show up in someone else's body? Did Diana I wish for Steve to return in some other random person's body? I don't think she did. Yeah, so I really don't. Why? I don't. Why? And, yeah, and then also, didn't Barbara get 2 wishes? Yeah, she got 2 wishes. I mean, one was when Pedro Pascal was in the Wishing Stone, but she shouldn't get another wish because he just became the Wishing Stone? What? Like, she got 2 wishes because she got the first one to be like Diana, and then she became the apex predator. I'll talk about that when I'm talking about Cheetah, but that doesn't make any sense. And also, like, how, like, the watching through a TV technically touches someone. Bruh. No, it does not. That doesn't make much sense. Like, they just tried all this sort of thing to just get it somehow make sense of how through the TV he's touching everyone. And, yeah. And then also, how would every single person in the world renounce their wish? Like, why would every single person in the world renounce their wish? Like, is there not a single selfish person who just wants their wish to come true? Even like with the lasso of truth thing, I feel like there'd be someone who wouldn't want to renounce their wish. I mean, think about how hard it was for Diana. And you'd think there'd be like some selfish or just like bad, evil people. They don't care about people. They're not gonna renounce their wish. And also, how did the lasso of truth like portray the truth over the television? Because it looked like it was like truth beaming through. I don't know what was going on there. And it looked like, didn't she like knock over the camera so it wasn't even recording anymore? Like it wasn't showing Pedro Pascal at the moment. I don't really know what was going on there. I don't know how the lasso of truth can. I don't know what that was. So yeah, I really don't understand what the third act, what they were doing. I understand what they're trying to do. I just don't think it works. And then also, nothing happens with like the god that made this wishing stone. Like they just sort of brought in, it was made by this god who's not really important. Trying to give it some sort of origin story, which I don't know. I guess that works. And then I want to talk here about Steve, because I did really like him in the first Wonder Woman. I just thought he was a really, like, just sort of fun screen presence who had this nice chemistry with Diana. You just liked him. And I just don't like how he was brought back, as I mentioned. It's just weird that he's in the other person's body. And you do have some fun moments, like, at the beginning when he's learning about the 80s, because it kind of forgets, like, it's in the 80s. At the beginning, you get a lot of that with, like, him, like, the fish out of water comedy with him in the 80s and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. And then he gets sidelined, like, the rest of the movie, and he's really only brought back for Diana's arc. But why is Diana still obsessed with Steve? She knew Steve for, like, a week. Like, decades ago. She really hasn't moved on? Okay. And then also, how can he fly the plane? I mean, I know he's a pilot, but planes have changed a lot, and he just picked it up right away. That also doesn't make much sense. And then I want to talk about Barbara. I actually really liked her at first. I said Kristen Wiig does a great job, and I just really like this character, and how she interacts with Diana and all that. I found that really interesting, and she actually doesn't fit into the Electro, Syndrome, Killian, Riddler stereotype. You know, all those villains had the same stereotype. I heard some people saying that she did, and I don't think she really falls into it, because all those people have in common where the superhero rejects them, and also they're all trying to be like the superhero. She is trying to be like Diana, not Wonder Woman. She just ends up being like Wonder Woman. So that's very different off the bat. And also, Diana doesn't reject her or anything. She isn't mean to her. The reason she becomes evil is because that's what the wish took away from her. So it's very different. I really don't understand why people are saying it's like the same thing. I mean, they're both awkward and then become villains, but that's really it. So I did think they actually did a really good job with that. And even after she gets her power, she still works with Wonder Woman for a bit as she slowly starts to lose her sort of soul and her goodness. So I really liked her then, and then she becomes Cheetah, and it's just kind of dumb because, like, I know it's obviously Cheetah, the character in the comics, but the way they made her become Cheetah was dumb. First off, it doesn't make sense how she got another wish, and also, like, she wishes to be an apex predator. Did she wish to become Cheetah? Is that what she meant? Or is that what the wishing stone, like, was it like a trick? She just wanted to be the top, and they're like, oh, you mean a cheetah? Like, sort of how, like, tricks trick you? Like, I don't know. Like, how, like, you can get tricked with your wishes and stuff. I don't know, but somehow she ended up Cheetah, and it just felt very shoehorned in there, and just because Diana had to have someone to fight at the end. Why? Like, also, if her wish was to be, like, the apex predator, wasn't it her wishing to be, like, the best at it? And, like, was she trying to wish to be better than Diana? Like, to be, like, the stronger opponent? And then, how did she lose to Diana? I don't really know what's going on there. If you know, please explain it to me. And now it's time to talk about Maxwell Lord. And Pedro Pascal is great, as I said, and I'm glad they spend a lot of time with this character. I actually like, also with Barbara, that they spend a lot of time with their villains. I always appreciate that. It's like they really wanted to really flesh out these villains. I'm, like, surprised these villains aren't better, because they're not the worst villains, but normally when you spend, like, all this time with the villains, it normally ends up making them really, really good, interesting villains. And normally the bad villains are kind of like the ones, like, in Wonder Woman that just sort of feel, like, just thrown in there, like, in the end of Wonder Woman with that twist, like, this is Ares, and you, okay, yeah, you know, that sort of thing. Normally when they spend a lot of time, it makes for a good villain, but I definitely prefer Barbara as a villain here, even though I did have problems with their character, because I was tracking along with him at the beginning. You kind of got his struggle, got his goal, what he wanted to do, kind of liked his personality, but not too much, like, because you know he's still a little bit evil. But then after you get to the Egypt scene, I just feel like he gets too insane, and you start to lose track exactly what he's trying to do. And, like, it starts with him just wanting his business to be successful. He just wants to impress his son in that way, and just be, like, successful. And then he just gets too insane, and you feel like you can't really connect with him at that point, because at the beginning, like, he had his son, you kind of, like, could connect with him, but at the end he just goes too insane. I didn't think it landed. And, like, also, like, once you get to the scene with his son after all that, I don't know, I feel like it couldn't land for me, just of how crazy they treated this character. And now I want to talk about how this fits in the DCEU, because are they even doing the DCU at this point? Because, like, it's still technically part of the DCU, and, like, they need to just stop the DCU, or actually work with it, because after Justice League, they're like, okay, maybe we're rushing this, let's not have them really play into each other, but they're still in the same universe, so it just feels weird and starting to cause sort of problems in the universe, especially this taking place before her appearances in BVS and Justice League. Like, why didn't Wonder Woman fly in those movies if she can fly in this one? I don't know. Also, does that mean just all, like, the characters before experienced this random day where, like, the world almost ended? Like, I'm pretty sure, because this is an older Batman. Batman would be, like, probably, like, a teenager, a young teen, like, he'd probably be, like, between, like, 10 and 13 or something. So would he, like, just kind of, like, have something that he just wished for? I'm pretty sure his parents would be dead at this point. Batman would probably just wish for his parents to come back. And would they show up as random people? And I feel like it's so weird that this event is giant that no one would bring it up in later DCEU movies, because I don't know, like, all the ramifications of this are just crazy. So, honestly, at this point, just stop the DCU or actually try working on it. I mean, I do like the idea of our heroes being together, because I really like DC, and I want to see our heroes sort of come together. Like, that's why I was really excited for Justice League. Hopefully, the Snyder Cut will be better. But, yeah. So yeah, that is my very long review of Wonder Woman 1984. Comment down below what you thought about the movie. Please like and subscribe, and keep watching me.